So today's video is part 2 of my Advanced User Techniques series. This section is going to be a little bit geeky with a lot of explanation and breaking down of scenarios, but if you really want to gain a better understanding of how to think pre-snap and how that significantly affects your user responsibility post-snap, and frankly how we can again just minimize our user responsibility and maximize our user effectiveness, then just sit back and enjoy the geekiness. Please keep in mind that a lot of the coverages in here are strictly for example of attempting to discuss a particular technique, because at times we're going to see that some routes are open in the examples that we wouldn't normally let be open in a game, but the fundamentals of the discussion remain true. And also, it's really important to understand that you simply cannot cover every route on every play. You just can't do it. You have to rely on things like pass rush, which is actually why I preach that the most important thing, at least in Madden 24, is pass rush when it comes to defense at least, right? You also have to rely on things like human opponents not being able to pick up on small windows of opportunity every play. And we can kind of bank on that with our user, and we can actually have our user help us confuse the opposing quarterback by taking away reads and even multiple reads, slowing their reaction time down. Anyway, I'll stop rambling and let you guys get into the video. I hope you enjoy. Talk about cover 3. So we're gonna come out and dime on this one, okay? And we're gonna go ahead and do our dime blitz. Let's go ahead and set it up sort of the way a lot of people like, okay? And let's go ahead and just do our mesh play. Okay? So in this situation, the normal setup for me is I pinch. If it's a passing down, I'm gonna pass commit. I've got a blitzer coming from the left side. So I've shaded down. I'm going to slant toward the blitz. So in this situation, we've got a couple of little problems here, okay? We've got a tight end, and we've got this guy. We're very vulnerable for seams, and that is something to really be cognizant of, okay? Really be cognizant of what the weaknesses are in your defense. So in this situation, what we could do is we could take, we could do several things. We could change the zones that are out there. We could man up a couple guys, or we could just bank on the heat, right? We're going to be lining up here in this gap, most likely, to help this blitz come through. So a good Madden player is going to notice, and they're probably going to hit their tight end right away, right? I think it's just inviting. So what can we do? Well, sometimes we're just going to go ahead and do it. We're just going to go ahead and take that chance, right? This is an outside receiver, so we can do something like, triangle, 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 up, square. We can man him up if we want to limit our potential for catastrophe. We can even go ahead and bluff them and drag them down. They're probably going to be thinking that we're coming out in a cover 4 in that case. Now the seam's not going to work very easily on that left side. We're going to be here. If he dares throw to that tight end, that's where we're darting, okay? And remember, we have to be cognizant of the run. We don't know what play this is. So let's let this play out, and I'm just going to play it like I would in just a regular game without knowing. So, pretty good job with the user there, right? Remember, we are not Nostradamus. We cannot predict everything. We are going to miss things with our user. But we manned up the seam streak. That is taken. Unfortunately, it turned out to be a drag, but we did man up the potential for that seam, okay? There's another drag coming across that we can't do anything about because of our momentum. But we know we have a safety over there, right? So, or excuse me, actually it's a cornerback. We know we have a zone over there. But we don't have to worry about Bo Jackson right now, because if he throws that, we can pick it, right? So we might be able to drop back a little bit more than that. But in the end, we've got things pretty well taken care of. And we know that this blitz is a very consistent blitz. You can see we got two guys just screaming in. Literally, within a split second of the snap. Boom, they're already in. That's a devastating blitz, right? Which was interesting because I did do the Dime 3 blitz, and it didn't get a lot of views. And I was like, this is a killer blitz. And it works great from the other side too. So in this case, I would say we did probably a B plus with our user. We did enough, right? Now, if that heat hadn't come through, that drag would have come across. You can see it, but we had a safety out there. So we were pretty safe. What else is open here? Not much, not much. So again, how do we deal with those seam streaks? How we deal with them is important. Okay, now we're not going to make any adjustments here. We're going to play a cat and mouse game. Does my heat get to you before you can figure out which seam you're going to try to hit? Okay, because if they don't hit any seams, they're screwed. So I have to decide, where am I going to dart? I'm going to probably move back slightly and move more toward the middle of the field, because this guy over here scares me, right? I feel pretty safe with this guy. I've got two zones over here that can tackle him if he does get a seam streak. So I'm gonna probably back up, but the heat's gonna be coming from this left side. And when people see heat coming, they tend to throw the opposite way, right? So that's what we're gonna do. And that's all we had to do. Notice what we did with our user. We don't know what's happening. We know we've got heat. We just back off a little bit. There's no run. So what do we see? Now we see it's two drags, right? Right now, this is the moment we recognize the play. We've got two safeties on the left side. We cannot worry about this drag coming our way, right? So all we have to worry about is clogging this middle, right? And you can see we were following this drag. We picked one. We had no choice. I would rather pick the one that is not going to be as easily covered. And I know that I have two safeties over here that are going to take care of this guy, right? So he's not going to get a big gain from this if he passes to him. And good luck passing when you've got, you know, evil intention, you know, just screaming from the left, right? So we watch this play. I would say a B. He could have hit Bo Jackson in the seam, but we had to pick one. We just had to. And I think we did, it was the best of both worlds. Keep in mind, I run this defense a lot, okay? So what I do, a lot of people are not going to do, because you know, generally I run it like this. I run it over here. I bring it from the right side because most people aren't expecting it. It's harder to block. I mean, blitz is coming better from the left, but I'll run it from the right most often, more often than I do from the left, okay? Unless it's crunch time, because it's a real wrinkle. So now I just have to worry about this tight end in this situation. So what would I do? I would take a chance. I would take a chance and I would go L1 and I would man him up. And I would probably back him up about like that, you know, to make them think maybe, or maybe they think I'm, you know, doing some kind of weird thing. But whatever it is, I'd probably back him up just to see, you know, what's going on. And then if he did throw a seam streak and I realized he's just an insane idiot, I'll never back that guy off again. But I'll do that. And now my responsibility obviously is over here, but we don't really, we've got the left side receiver manned up and zones everywhere else. So all we have to do is focus over here. And if it's a run, good luck running into this heat, right? So we're gonna let this one play out. Seam streak taken care of, everything's taken care of. Only thing he could hit was that drag coming across. Honestly, if he's able to get that off, good, you know, yay for him. But we've got a guy right out there. We've got a guy right out there, and our user to be able to back him up, right? Because that's where our user was headed. So, you guys, that's something. I think those are the key points to, let's go ahead and choose a new play here real quick. Those are the key points in terms of understanding how to user at a more advanced level. Understanding your assignment and then adjusting that assignment based on your adjustments, right? I don't like this. This defense is really difficult for me personally. Some people don't mind it. I don't like this defense. It puts a lot of stress on my user. What's my assignment? Everything. The entire middle of the field. I'm completely open for seam streaks. I don't like that. I want to change that. So on this left side, honestly, what I would do, I would probably man up this guy, and I might even back him off, so they think, whatever, and then I might even take this guy and put him into a blitz in a situation like this, and then I would take him and put him into a deep half, right? So now we've got heat coming from two different sides, right? And we've still eliminated our user assignment. We just have to know that if there is a drag, we have to get over here. And I don't think I have the package right. I don't think I have middle third on this one. No, I need to change the package. I could do an inside third, I guess. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so we've got a little bit of a kind of a semi-coverage roll here. It's not really, but you get the drift, right? So now with these assignments, we've got the corner. We've got we've got a shell here to where instead of having to cover this whole area over here, all we have to really worry about is here and then bailing to the left if there's a drag, and if there's a maybe a post over here, until we can pass the guy off. And that's going to be the next concept that I talk about here. Okay, passing off. So we're going to hover here and let this play out. Not a run. Oh, we got a drag, and should have picked that off. I don't know why it didn't animate, but whatever it was, right? So you can see, let's check that instant replay. Had that guy manned up, he's running into zones. And that's why we could do that, because if he did do a drag, yes, him being manned up, over here, right? Him being manned up, his guy being behind him, that's okay. That's really not that big of a deal. He can't throw that, our user's right there anyway, right? We saw that this is going to be a mesh play, and we see that the tight end is covered. We see that the fullback is covered, and all we have to worry about is this guy here, right? And we followed him, and they had no choice. Now, in that situation, you can see we followed a little too quickly. Computer is not like a human, but we had good spacing here. We probably could have gone up just a hair, like maybe to the 32-yard line, between the 32 and 33, and we would have had an interception there, right? And I'll tell you this right now, we could have easily gotten an interception animation on that one. If you kind of look at it at this angle, easily could have gotten an interception on that, right? We were just a little bit too low, and that's okay. It's going to happen. We were still able to knock it out, right? So we're going to talk about passing off routes now, okay? And this is kind of the fun stuff. We're going to go ahead and come out let's do it's probably easier to pass off in a cover 3. So we're going to come out in DB Fire, and let's go ahead and do let's do tight offset tight end. This is a good one, okay? So we'll do the drive out play. So we've got, on this play, we've got a corner, we've got sort of an out route, and then we have a high-low over here with these two receivers. Okay, one's going to come on a drag, and one's going to come on a mini post. What I always do is I adjust that mini post to a post, okay? And then we have to worry about possibly that halfback. We know in this case the halfback coming out on a table route, right? So when we set up our defense, you know, let's say it's a passing down, you know, we pass committed, you know, we know in this situation, this is gun tight offset tight end, right? PA seams, probably the most popular exploitation of dollar defense, right? So we can leave this stock, you know, and it's going to be hard to hit. But one of the things we can do is we can shade outside. It's a pretty good bet against gun tight when they're lined up like this that it's going to be corner routes, right? So we're going to shade outside. Now that's playing kind of into the hands of this offense because we don't know he's calling drive out. We're thinking PA seams probably, or you know, maybe, you know, a double corner play or something like that. You know, corner to the left, corner to the right. You know, so what are we going to do in this case? You know, we can leave the vert hooks. I'm going to go ahead and middle third, right? And then I'm probably going to do something like, you know, I might take this blitzer and put him into a vert hook, right? And in this case, I'm not going to shade down because I like the soft squats, right? But if I shaded down, that would be interesting, you know. So in this case, if these two receivers, you know, come out here and we have one that comes out on a flat and one that comes out in a corner, we got that covered, right? We can drag our safeties down. You know, they might think that's a cover 4 in that situation, think we're worried about the run, you know. But in this case, we just need to worry about the middle of the field here, right? And we have a little bit of help with this cover 3 guy because he's down low, right? So we have a little bit of help initially. But what we're going to see when this plays out is we have a high-low read. And we're going to have to pick, right? First bit of advice, always pick the high if you have to choose, okay? It's the safest bet. That high, if that's a post, that's 20-something yards easy, right? The low, 5, right? So which would you rather bet on? I'd rather take the safe bet, right? But if you know your opponent and you know that they're crazy, or you know that they don't know what they're doing, or you've seen them do it before, you may go ahead and take the drag instead of the post, right? Let's let this play out and let's see what grade we're going to give our user. Took both routes away. We took both routes away. That was actually pretty good user. Let's watch it. So we see the guy hesitating. If he goes out to the right, we don't have to worry. We've got that covered. But I know right away. Now I know right away this is drive out. Okay? So I am literally in position. If he throws to either one of these receivers, that's an interception. By the time he winds up, it's picked off to both of those receivers. Okay? He might throw out to the flat. Dangerous. Now he is screwed. Let's go back and let's see how fast it happens. There's not a single window open, right? Not a single window open. Boom. Well, yeah, that drag, that's pretty dangerous. 2 routes taken with 1 user. And now I pass him off. And it's not the most clear pass off, but what I did here is I know that this defender over here is going to take over for me. Right? So now I pass him off. The second you see me move up, I pass him off. And obviously Madden is all funky and wonky with the way it handles contact. But I went up to take this receiver, right? And because, you know, I would be thinking maybe he might have put him on a post. That's why I'm taking a more sharp angle over here. Plus Madden kind of sucked me in on this. But I passed him off right here. This is where I'm passing that receiver off. And we're going to go ahead and run this one more time just to show you. I will go ahead and just pass off this receiver. I'm just running a stock coverage now. Not going to change anything. We got our vert hook still out there. but I'll show you kind of how I would pass off. Backing up, boom, passed him off, right? The route is just a little bit, it's not really a high-low read. You know, you really, if you're going to be running gun tight, you know, make sure that you put that, Bo Jackson, the tight end, make sure you put him on a post. Don't just leave him on the default route. But you can see, I've got this drag covered, but I pass him off, right? So now I could have stuck with the drag and passed Bo Jackson off because there's a vert hook over here, right? But I passed him off. I've got two zones waiting for him, right? So he's been passed off. And that's something that's very important to learn is passing off, staying within, if we audible here to a cover 3, we pinch and we pass commit because we know it's going to be a pass or whatever. We're going to pass both of these receivers off, okay? We're not going to follow them over here. We have a vert hook, and so anything that comes past here, we just pass off. So we're going to be lining up here. We're going to be passing off both of these receivers. Pass them both off. And you know what? That's okay. That was not our assignment. Ted Hendricks, again, that hook curl or that vertical hook should have played much more aggressively. This is Madden. He didn't because he's worried about the corner route, right? Over there. But you can see he only got, it's a small game, right? So passing off is important. Don't just follow blindly. I'm going to shade down and we're going to do this again. Don't just follow blindly like this. Don't do that. See what happens? That's a very extreme version, right? But when you're doing something like following receivers, oh look, I've now left my zone for no good reason. And I've done this in games, you guys. It's really embarrassing, right? I've left my zone for no good reason. And now I just gave up 18 yards just from leaving my zone, okay? So just from leaving my assignment. So I'm going to recap here, okay? We're going to set up our defense the normal way that we would, right? And in this situation, what do we got to do with our user? We need to understand our assignment based on our adjustments, okay? This guy over here, I'm not a big fan of this, so I might do something like that, and I might do something like that, right? I don't like the tells, but it's gun tight. I really don't care about tells with gun tight very much, right? Because there are only so many things they can do out of gun tight, right? They're very good things, but there are only so many things you can do out of gun tight. I know this would mess me up, right? This would mess me up on a couple of different plays that I like to run out of gun tight, right? Or tight offset tight end, whatever you want to call it, right? So now we've just sort of taken our assignment and we've said, we know that these two receivers are either going to bail out here, they're going to be on streaks, or they're going to be coming over on drags and posts, right? We know that because we know gun tight. So it's one of those things. So this is our assignment. This area, it's not just what the computer is saying now, right? It's this area initially, and then it's over here, right? And remember, we also have that halfback to kind of pay attention to. So let's go ahead and let this play out based on our assignments, based on having to think about the run. If it's an inside zone, we have to feather and drop back a little bit, right? To protect against the run and still being cognizant. So we're pretty safe just taking our little thing over here and being willing to go all the way over here because we only have deep safety help on this one. So we have to be willing to go all the way over there. If we have to bail on a route, it's going to be on a short drag versus the post, right? So that's what we're doing. We're dissecting. We're figuring out what to do with our user. let's let it play out. But we're checking for the run first. It's not a run. And perfect user, absolutely perfect user, perfect to end the video on. All right, let's watch it. We know it's not a run. We've got the two guys manned up on the left. We don't have to worry about them. It's not a cover three beater. We don't think it could be, but we don't think because we see the guys cutting already. So now we know exactly what play it is. We've got our soft squad out here to handle this area. And all we got to do is be a user demon, which is exactly what we did. We cut off two routes. Perfect defense. Perfect user defense. Everything is just bagged. And it's because we understood our assignment. We stayed within ourselves, right? There's one route he might have been able to get to, maybe because we passed him off. We had no choice but to pass him off because the post was deeper, right? So, you guys, if you know Madden, these tips are going to take your game to a higher level if you don't already incorporate these things, okay? If you do know Madden, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Usering is not just, I'm taking a route and I'm following it and look at my stick work. Oh, I fooled you. You know, I tricked you. Being a good user is as much pre-play as it is post-play, right? And I think that's what I want to talk about and why I'm calling this advanced user techniques. Pre-play, post-play. It's as much pre-play as it is post-play, right? Once you get in the game, once you know your assignment, you don't have to move all over the field and go crazy, you know. Now, there are instances where you may have to. For instance, really quickly, in a cover three, right? Cover three, we've shaded down. Why it doesn't shade down, I don't know. We're pinching. What are we going to be vulnerable to? For sure, corner route, right? So how do we adjust out of that? Well, we'll take our linebacker and put him in a Mabel, right? And so now we have to worry about a corner route on this side. It's going to be awfully difficult because this hard flat is going to be jogging back for that. That corner route, it's possible it gets open, right? Especially at the beginning of the year without abilities, right? So we may have to take this guy, oh crap, and move over to this corner. We just may have to do it, right? In a cover three. You know, over here even, is this guy going to be able to get out of here in time? Maybe, maybe not. And in this case, it might be something where to help our user out, maybe we spread our linebackers. Now he can get out there for that corner, right? These are the little tricks that you can use to make user life easier, right? Pre-snap versus post-snap. Pre-play versus post-play. Whatever your adjustments are, adjusts your user assignment. And make sure that you play that assignment the right way, understanding that you have a fail-safe if catastrophe is imminent. I know that sounds dramatic, but if there's a cover three beater, you got to bail on it, right? If there's a corner route and you don't have it accounted for in your adjustments, you got to bail on it. If it means you leave something underneath, it means you leave something underneath, you know? And then basically just understanding your opponent comes too, right? And once you see your opponent's tendencies, you can start to figure out how to use her even better, right? So those are the tips for the day. I hope you've enjoyed the video. As always, have a great day. So you guys, that concludes this series on advanced user techniques. I really hope these discussions and tips have been helpful in terms of not only understanding what you're trying to do with your user on any given play, but also helping you to streamline your user assignments with pre-snap adjustments. Thanks again for all the support, and if you haven't already, please like and subscribe because it really helps my channel out and it's going to help me get closer to that magical 1,000 subscriber number. Anyway, I hope you guys have an awesome day.